I found an interview by Mr. John Dobson, the guy who did Sidewalk Astronomy, and I think he's a good role model for unorthodox thinking, for allowing yourself to just figure things out in your mind, as well as build your own telescope. I watched a video of him making a telescope, literally a refractor. It's called a Dobson refractor. And obviously he did it a bit cheaply, but still it had a lot of hard work to put into it, and you have to do everything the right way. But apparently this gentleman has existed, and I've yet to learn a lot more about him. I just basically discovered him today, so I started watching a lot of interviews with him. But this one interview, he really nails it. He's on the same side as I am in reference to the actual processes involved with stellar evolution and planet formation. So not only is Anthony Abruzzo in there, I'm in there, Michael Z's in there, Charles Nunnall's in there, Alexander Operin's in there, Nicholas D'Acuzzo, who came before Copernicus, is in there. You know, there are a lot of people now that understand this, and I just found out that Mr. Dobson also has the same ideas about these exoplanets and what they really are. So without further ado, Mr. Dobson.
That's good. We have a couple questions from David Ingram here in the U.S. One is he wants to know your impression, your thoughts on all the extrasolar planets being discovered now, planets around other stars.
Well, what they're discovering I would call stars and not planets. They call Jupiter a planet. I call Jupiter a star. Jupiter has 80% of the angular momentum of the solar system. Now, if it were a planet, that means you gathered up the angular momentum from all these other things and dumped it onto that one? No, you can't do that. Jupiter is made of the same stuff as the sun, and it came down with the sun. Jupiter and Saturn came down with the sun, spinning lickety-split, and they're still spinning lickety-split. The sun was able to slow down because it shines in the ultraviolet and knocks the electrons off the atoms nearby. So its magnetic field has something to push around, okay? But Jupiter and Saturn can't can't radiate in the ultraviolet and knock the electrons off. So there are no electrical particles around Jupiter and Saturn for them to transfer their magnetic field away.
Well, there's been a debate for quite some time about the definition of a planet. You've just complicated it, I think.
No, I'm simplifying it.
Oh, okay.
They're on the wrong trip.
Oh, well, okay. And
you see, there's no way to gather up the angular momentum and put it in Jupiter. There's no way to do that if it were a planet.
Okay.
All the observational evidence is on my side.
Okay. All of it. Okay, well, I have nothing more to say. David has another question, too. If you're aware of your students after they learn to make telescopes from you, what are the most successful?
Did you get that? It's basically the same thing I'm saying. Jupiter is a star, man. Those exoplanets, there's no such thing as planet. They're all stars. They're all astrons. They're all in some stage of evolution. They're still cooling and dying and shrinking and losing their energy to radiation and mass loss and impacts, and it's as simple as that. There's no need for a disk. He's arguing the same exact problem as that all the astronomers and astrophysicists face, is that they can't just do things without looking at the angular momentum of these objects. They can't develop these theories with ignoring physics. So that just confirms that if I'm a crank, then Mr. Dobson is too, apparently. And he's one of the premier amateur astronomers. I mean, he's passed away recently, I think in late 2014. Rest in peace, Mr. Dobson.